What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Is your Tampa Bay Buccaneers go 60 yards in 35 seconds to defeat the LA Rams 16-13. How do we start off the evolution? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. And the majority of the game was nonsense offensively. Not the prettiest game. Not by any means. A lot of things to pick apart. A lot of stupid penalties. The defense giving up another big play to Cooper Kupp. But a win is a win. And this win, ladies and gentlemen, may have saved the Bucs season.
How about them Bucs, baby?
And this history goes all the way back. And I'm going to tell you how far it goes back with watching this team for as long as I have all these years. This goes back to 1979. Yeah, I was 1 year old. Bucs lose 9-0 in the NFC Championship game. Always get told this story by my mother. Football runs in this family. It does. Make no mistake about it. I think the Bucs fan base should probably hate the Rams as much as they hate the Saints or more. You've got 79, you've got 99, you've got the last couple years. What we heard throughout the season, unfinished business, because it goes back to the divisional playoff game last year, where the Bucs lose 30-27. And they could have easily lost this game today with Scotty Miller. But somehow, some way, Tom Brady, which, by the way, 55 career winning drives in the fourth quarter, surpassing who? Peyton Manning. Also over 100,000 passing yards in his NFL career. Tremendous. Cade Otton with the honors, his first NFL touchdown. You don't think this win means something? I get it, the Rams are not the best team in the world. But the Rams have had the Bucs number in history. 79, 99, the last couple years. So how sweet is it for the Bucs to pull off that win? How sweet is it? Can you hear my mom in the background? Can you hear the family in the background? Again, not the prettiest effort, but it may have saved the season.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
What's going on, guys? Happy Victory Monday. It's the Sports Web, the evolution of Sports Talk Television. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this edition of the Sports Web on, once again, a Victory Monday? Huh? How about this right here? You like this? Huh? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. I'll have my co-host on, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. The return of J.C. Allen of Pewter Report at 9:30, and at 10 o'clock, Mr. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast, No Quarter Given, on buckpower.com. And then, of course, your phone calls And let's not waste any time. Let's get out to the phone lines here. Let's go out to Ed, and then we'll get out to Harry the Greek. Ed, go ahead. You're leading it off here on the Sports Web. Go. Victory Monday. What do you have to say, man?
Not only is it Victory Monday, but the Ravens are over the Saints by 7 right now.
What's the score of that game?
7-0.
7-0. All right. Ravens up 7-0.
Second quarter.
So as we always say here, we hope for the Saints to lose because we hate them. We hate everybody in the division right now, and the Bucs are in first place. So there you go.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
All right.
Now, I heard you talking about Odell Beckham last night.
I was.
And Odell Beckham was saying today that he is going to sit back and wait until December because he'll be fully recovered by then from his ACL injury.
Correct.
So the Bucs have better – I'm sure there's a lot of teams out there that would love to have him. So if the Bucs want him, they better be beating down his door.
Well, I still contend that he'll come here if he wants to play with the greatest of all time, and I think that's the advantage the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. On top of that, because of Julio Jones and his ineffectiveness and also his injury history, which he really has not worked out, if you will, I think the Bucs have to sign him. And the report was last week that they were recruiting him. They were heavy recruiting. Now there's a report out there that the Dallas Cowboys could definitely have their eye on him. And right now the Cowboys are in a much better situation at this juncture. So we'll see what happens. But I still contend that the Bucs and OBJ will work out and he will be signed eventually here either this week or next week. It's going to happen because Jay Glazer says he's cleared, and I think it makes lots of sense, seeing as the Bucs are looking for that juice to this offense, which right now they don't have. They don't have a healthy wide receiving room because not only Jones has been hurt, but also Russell Gage. And then on top of it, you look at the history with OBJ and how much he respects the GOAT and Tom Brady and how he looks up to him as a mentor. It seems to make sense to me. What do you say?
I think it makes sense, but I think also he wants to go somewhere where he knows he's going to win a Super Bowl at.
Well,
I just don't think the Bucs are a Super Bowl team.
Look, I think anytime you got Tom Brady, and I'll continue to say this until his days are done, you got the best opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Did it have things to work on? Yes. Was it a pretty win yesterday? No, it wasn't. Is this offense in sync? No, it's not. Is the offensive line having problems? Are they having problems with running the ball? Absolutely. But if you add a weapon, if you get healthy there with Ryan Jensen coming back possibly in the next couple weeks, who knows what happens. I think you got to focus on winning this next game versus Seattle, get into that bye week, and hopefully you can get healthy very soon. But that game against Seattle is going to be a lot tougher than first imagined.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be tough for both teams because they got to play in Germany. But
well, yeah, trip in itself. But Seattle's a pretty good team this year, definitely. And I'm really shocked by the coaching job that Pete Carroll has done. In fact, I think Carroll should be up for Coach of the Year, not only a Brian Daboll from the New York Giants, but all the losses that Seattle had, including in the offseason, Russell Wilson, and what he's doing right now with Geno Smith has been tremendous. I tell you what, Ed, finish up here, and then we're going to get Harry on. Go ahead.
All right. I'm just going to continue to watch this Saints game, and hopefully the Saints lose, so that way we don't have a 4-way tie or a 3-way tie for first place. That would be great. And go Bucs.
Go Bucs. And, absolutely, yes.
Tell Harry I said hi.
We'll do, my friend. Thanks a lot. Definitely use that second phone call.
How about them Bucs, baby?
Appreciate you, Ed. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to his intro. Here we go. My co-host, of course, Mr. Professional handicapper extraordinaire, Harry the Greek of 1252 Chicago Sports. Welcome to the Evolution, as it is Victory Monday. It feels good to kill that losing streak there, a 3-game losing streak with the way the Bucs did it. And I know for a fact, because you were texting me during the game, that you had some shekels on it. Welcome to the Evolution.
Just a few shekels. But I bet the second half. I gave everybody, how the game was going to go. And it ended up the odds makers had the game absolutely correct. But, Pete, good win for Tampa Bay. Don't care how ugly it was. A W is a W. but I will tell you this: 78 offensive plays for this team,
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
58 pass attempts,
Yes.
16 points.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to change. I'm again,
It's not going to change, Pete.
this offensive line has not done a good enough job to. And again, you talk about the attempts. Rashard White led the attempts yesterday. In fact, it leads me to my point.
No, actually, he didn't. Leonard Fournette had actually one more carry. There was 20 total attempts. You had 17 attempts between White and Fournette, but then Vaughn and Godwin had a total of 3 attempts. But
Right.
Leonard Fournette actually had 9 attempts for 19 yards, and Rashad, I believe, had 8 attempts for 27 yards. And
Terrible. It's
it-
it's just terrible, and I get it. You want to be committed to the run, but at the end of the day, I feel like you got to pass in order to win, and that's the difficult thing here with this team. You're really asking for it when you're throwing the ball 58 times, but you if you continue to run the ball, and Leonard Fournette has been terrible on 3rd and 1. I mean, I think that's the most surprising thing that I've seen. Whether it's offensive line not getting enough of a push, or whether it's the inability to have the vision to hit the hole correctly. I just feel like what you said at the beginning of the year, that Rashard White most likely could be the best back on this team and most likely the starting running back eventually.
Unfortunately, Peter, it's not even close, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I mean, Leonard Fournette got paid and he got fat. I don't know what else to say, how else to put it. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but that's exactly what happened. The man got paid and he got fat. He came into camp 30 pounds overweight. Come
Right.
on, man.
Right.
Come
Right.
on. Okay,
Well,
but that has a little bit to do with coaching too. I'd say
mhm,
sit your fat ass down until you get back in shape or hit the hole like you're supposed to. Or how about you remember the Super Bowl season?
mhm.
It was right around mid-season, and I guess he was having a little bit of a shit fit, pardon my expression,
That's
and
okay.
and and BA actually had a little heart-to-heart with him and a little come to Jesus meeting with him and basically told him, "Hey, you either wanna play the game or you don't. It's gonna be one of the 2, but you're gonna park your ass on the bench." You remember that?
I remember that, and I tell you
Okay.
right now, this actually kind of happened yesterday, which leads me to my point, and then we'll get out to Eric there on the video line because we put out the link tonight on StreamYard. Go to my page if you want to click on the link. If you want to be a superstar on the Evolution, it's not texting, or you want to not call in, you want to be on video, you can definitely do that. But this, according to CBS sideline reporter Tracy Wolfson, Fournette was extremely frustrated during the last drive because he didn't see the field. Rashard White came off the field, went over to him and said, "We need you." And again, this goes back to that Super Bowl year because you remember hearing the story of how basically BA said, "Get your stuff together or you're getting cut." And
Yep.
this is just not what this team needs right now. And I get it, Fournette may be frustrated, but he has been ineffective. This is not just on the play calling and the offensive line. This is on Lenny. He hasn't been good.
Look, man, if the Chicago Bears can peel off 4 games in a row with over 200 yards rushing,
Yeah.
okay, with that offensive line, trust me, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can run the football if they want to. They're going to have to commit to it, but don't be so friggin' predictable.
I
Let me
agree.
give you I'm not trying to give you a comparison. If
Do it.
everybody remembers correctly, last week when the Bears gave Dallas their first 4 possessions
Mhm.
and Dallas went up 28 to nothing, Chicago never got away from doing what they do best, is run the football. And they climbed within 3 points in that game. If Tampa gets down by 7 points, what's the running game? Hold on, hang on, hang on. Let me throw this playbook out of the area, and we're just going to sit there and pass the ball all over the place.
Right.
You can't hit the panic button. Look, man, Leonard Fournette didn't become a bad running back overnight. Okay, let me clarify that. Can still be an elite quarterback, but he's got to want it. We were talking about that yesterday on the show
Yeah.
on the over under, and I just don't think he has that gotta want it. And you know what? If White is ready to go ahead and take the torch, so be it. Let him grab the torch and take off.
You
I
know what,
mean,
Harry?
this
Just
this
come
team
think
needs
of
to
it.
run.
Maybe he's one of the players that Todd Bowles was talking about a couple weeks ago that is, basically living off his Super Bowl win. I tell you what, let's get out to the comments and then we'll get out to Eric. Stand by. Tim says 2022 Bucks win ugly. Absolutely, they do. A win is a win. Christopher Cole says, I'm hoping this game is a spark. Absolutely. And Ben says Fournette has now become payoff, Lenny. I like
How
that
about
a
them
lot.
Bucks, baby?
Good stuff there. Let's go out to our video line here. Let's go out to Mr. Eric. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. As you're trying out this video line, you're on with yours truly, along with Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. What do you have to say on this victory Monday? Come strong to the mic.
Hey, it was ugly, but hey, a win's a win. That win can give us, I'm thinking we can win this. Someone said, "Oh, if we get 4 or 5 more wins, I think that wins the division." Panthers are not going nowhere. Falcons. I mean, I think it's down to the Bucks and Falcons. If the Saints lose this game, they're in trouble. They have a little tougher schedule than us, and they got to play the Ravens. They got to play us again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a battle down the stretch. But I think that win gives us some juice and spark. So
let me go on to you, Harry, professional handicapper extraordinaire. Do you think this could give this team some juice, or are you still concerned about this offense and their struggles?
It's a win is a win. If you're going to have to rely on passing the ball 58 times, what's the use of making it to the playoffs?
Right.
Seriously, what the hell's the use? You got to run the football and you got to play defense. The defense did play a lot better though yesterday.
Absolutely.
And I wonder what that one common denominator was.
Well, I know what it is. It's Akeem Hicks. I mean, is
there
that
you go.
And
yes. He looked a step short, but he was still occupying. By the way, I rewatched it and I got a hold of the game tape. He actually occupied when he was in the game over 50% of the time a double team or a chip to go ahead and get to him. And guess who had a really big game? I think his name was Vita Vea.
Yeah, Vita Vea had 2 sacks yesterday, 6.5
because they were not doubling him.
Yeah,
they were paying more attention to Akeem Hicks. Listen, that's what the defense needed. The first thing that needs to happen, they need to work on the defense a little bit. This defense starts to play in a lot better instead of shitting the bed like they have been in the past couple of weeks. Then all of a sudden, now the running game is going to start to come to fruition. That's if the stars align for this team and they decide that they want to commit to running the football to open up the passing game because you don't have a tight end. Forget the fact that one caught a pass for a touchdown to win the football game. You still don't have any tight end play on this team. Run the football, set up the pass. This team can make it deep into the playoffs. Don't run the football. Don't set up the pass. This team will be a one and done.
Yeah, well, I think Cade Otton's starting to develop into
it takes time.
It takes time. And Tom Brady talked about that, and we'll get out to him in a moment. Go ahead, Eric, finish up here.
I'm hearing conflicting reports. Peter or Harry, would you be surprised if Ryan Jensen comes back at any point this year?
That's a great question.
I'm not really sure.
That's a great question. If he did come back, let me take this, Peter. If he did come back, what kind of football shape would Ryan Jensen actually be in?
Yeah,
that's going to be the typical question. Typically, offensive linemen, it's when they're on the IR and they come back, they don't come back and play automatic. Okay, ask a Chicago Bear. I mean, I hate to use these analogies. Just look at Tevin Jenkins. It took him a while to get his groove back. It's not going to be anything different for Ryan Jenkins. Ryan Jensen. Ryan
Jenkins. Yes,
I'm getting Jenkins and Jensen. Listen, you know what I'm talking about. It takes a while. And Jensen's older too. It does take a little bit of a while. And I know the people out there are going to be busting my balls when I turn around and say, the difference was Akeem Hicks. Look, when Akeem Hicks is in a game, he makes a difference. The end.
Yeah.
He makes a difference. And it does help because he does occupy that double team. He still has a very, very fast first step. I just wish the guy could stay healthy. I wish him nothing but the best. But
he's an impact.
He's
definitely an impact player on this defensive line. You could see it yesterday. The pass rush was getting to Matt Stafford. 4 sacks, again, including Vita Vea with 2 of those. Nacho had 1. Jannard also had 1. And this rush defense, and I get it, it would have been easy for Cam Akers after he came out of the Ram doghouse there to come back and have a big game. But that didn't happen because I think it was Hicks' presence on that line that absolutely helped them out. Eric, final thoughts, and then we'll get you out of here.
Bucks got to get a win before the bye week, get some momentum. Hopefully Winfield can go this week, but if not, I think all 3 corners played great. If you can get Winfield back before the bye week against Seattle, but they got to travel, so I don't know how much is that gonna complicate
things?
Yeah. So if he plays, I mean, he's been out 2 games. They're saying he's progressing.
Right.
Maybe he plays, but bye week, so we have that going for us. So I think we'll be all right either way.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and give you the air horn here. Thanks a lot for the video call. There we go. That's how it's done right there. Click on the link, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a star on the evolution of sports talk television, because it is Victory Monday. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with, of course, Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago Sports. Let's go ahead and go out to Alan here. He won't be consistent.
My man.
Hicks just can't stay healthy, and that has been.
I was just thinking.
Yeah,
I knew someone was going to blast us for that.
Yes,
Alan, first off, how are you, buddy? Man, I really miss you, man. Click that link. Come on here. Let's. We can make it a little Chicago if we wanted to. I mean,
absolutely.
people do like us a little
we
bit.
can always make this Chicago. We can always make this a little NFL
Hey,
show.
man, we got enough. We got enough love to support everybody, but Pete, I do. You don't have to make me full screen because I like looking at your pretty face sometimes when I'm telling you this. This game that Tampa Bay has to play against Seattle is by far, and are you ready? Their toughest opponent year to date.
And why's that?
That defense for Seattle, they got nothing to lose.
Right.
Can you name 3 players on that defense?
I cannot name 3 players.
Okay, that's exactly this team is flying around.
Yes.
Pete Carroll, okay, the genius himself, who I personally said needs to be washed up, take his Legos, put them back in the box, and go home. This is what I said about Pete Carroll. He's got this team so fired up, they don't even realize they don't have really any superstars on this team. But you know what? They play with a team mentality. It's all about the team. And right now that team has that baby. And that thing is momentum. It's going to be.
This is a tough matchup because you got DK Metcalf as a big body wide receiver. So Carlton Davis, this back end.
And Geno Smith.
Oh my goodness. I mean, comeback player of the year. And like I said, I think really, Paul.
And I got to tell you, man, I'm happy for Geno.
Right.
I'm happy for Geno, man. This guy's got such a bad rap through all the New York teams. And, I mean, he's just, look, he's not your franchise quarterback, but Jesus Christ, man, that guy has played his ass off this year. And he's controlling the game really well. But going back to that, what I'm saying is this is going to be the toughest game for the Buccaneers year to date. They better come to play. Don't overlook the Seattle team like everybody else is doing because they will smack you in the teeth quick.
And again, the story is, and we're going to get to this in a moment, the rookie there, Kenneth Walker out of Michigan State. I mean, he's really solidified that running position.
He's a rookie, isn't he?
Yes, yeah, he's a rookie. Yeah. Let's go out to Jason here, our Manly Buck. Tom Brady came through for us with the come from behind win. I know a little bit. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the comment. Adam says Kenneth Walker has those fresh rookie legs. Kid is a workhorse. And once again, it's going to be the challenge on that defensive line. Yes.
Seriously. Pull that comment up there for a second. I got to say something. No, the one before it.
Yes. Go ahead.
Jason, look, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody read your comment. There's no room for that on these platforms. Please, seriously, take it somewhere else. If you look, it's okay to banter back and forth a little bit, but that is not right. This is the best quarterback ever to suit up in a football league, and that's just not the right thing to say about the guy. It just isn't.
No, it's not. You're exactly right about that. And I know he's trying to be funny, but it's just really not
okay.
Right. At the end of the day, 100,000 passing yards in his NFL career, and then 55 fourth quarter comebacks surpassing Peyton Manning. I mean, give me your thoughts on this because, once again, and if it's
who cares about Peyton Manning? 100,000 yards.
100,000 yards. Yes. Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
That's all you get. 100,000 yards. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, the New Orleans Saints are losing now 14-0 to the Baltimore Ravens.
Are you surprised by that? What have you seen out of the Saints team? I mean, they start Andy Dalton, Michael Thomas. He's out for the year, hasn't played the whole year, been largely ineffective. I mean, I feel like they should just give up on this guy. It seems like he's hurt he's probably more hurt than Julio Jones. And that's
I'm going to have to say the same thing. And I'll be honest with you, Pete. My hats are off to what the New Orleans Saints have been able to do with the laundry list. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean,
well, I think some of the comments here are just making me laugh. All right, we're going to get better when Winfield and Logan Ryan comes back. Absolutely agree with that. I will go ahead and give you a Ric Flair for that. Like that comment a lot. And let's go out to Jason. You got to hear I'm being too naughty on this platform.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
It's okay to be a little naughty, but not to Tom Brady. You can say it about you can say it about this guy next to me, but not Tom Brady.
Okay. We'll just keep it like that. We'll just be professional.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Jason watches our show and Ray shows the VIG.
Right. Well, that's Ray. That's you and Ray's thing, you know. So I don't know what's going on with your Wi-Fi tonight. It keeps on freezing for some reason.
Me?
Yeah, it's weird. It's completely weird. Like the Wi-Fi hates us tonight. Anyway.
Wow, unusual. Yes. I'm sorry about that. I didn't know I was freezing.
That's okay. That's all right. No problem. It happens. It's what it is. Let's go out to Rick Stroud here. We were talking about this yesterday on the over-under, and there was like some type of disagreement. We were trying to figure out what that was, and it looks like it was Harold Godwin. In fact, it seemed like he took a shot at Byron Leftwich. This was before the game. I think they're interesting comments, and I want to know what you think about them. It's in there. I can't control what the play caller calls, but it's in there every week. It's basically our base play. You start with that to create everything you do in the run game. This is play action. And again, going back to that statistic, which I was disappointed yesterday that the Bucs didn't take advantage of it, an 80% clip for opposing quarterbacks versus that Rams secondary. Once again, not a lot of pass play action. He says everything you do in that run game, from play action passes to what you're doing run-wise, we have it in there. We have a lot of runs. It's just whether we get to them or not. It's how the play caller is feeling. It's my favorite play by far because we had a lot of success with it. It just depends on whether Byron is feeling like calling it that day or not. I can't control that. Your thoughts?
I really don't have an opinion on that, Peter, because I'm going to tell you right now, nobody respects the run game because they don't run enough. But they're too predictable when they are running the football, as you alluded to.
Sure.
That's the wrong word. As you called me up freaking screaming at me, going, this team is so predictable.
I'm sitting there and I'm knowing they're going to run on first down. And here's the thing, like I talked about all the time, it is a family affair in my house.
Because they're trying to impose their will, Peter.
There's no will there. You're getting 1 or 2 yards, and
it's okay. And it's going to open up because the moment they get that safety to drop down into the box because they're peeling 4 and 5 runs in a row that they're getting 10 and 15 and 20 yards on 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah.
The moment that safety peeks his nose in the box, what does the GOAT do best? Play action. And hits the guy right up the seam, and he's gone for 75 or 80 yards. That's why you haven't seen Mike Evans and Godwin going off this year yet, because they're not running the football with that command. You know what? They ran it 20 times. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Right.
They at least ran the ball 20 times, but they passed it 58. I didn't think they were going to run it 20 times at all in this game, to be honest with you. I thought there was going to be 10. At least they gave it 20 attempts, Pete.
Right, exactly. And stars are out there right now, so if you guys want to give to the show.
But pass the ball 30 times and run 20.
Right.
And I'll take that formula, because when that happens and they start getting that positive yardage, Peter, I'm telling you, man, you get linebackers and corners and safeties peeking into that backfield, and that's all it takes is that one split second, and then Scotty Miller's up the seam, or Godwin's running a crossing pattern, or there's a 50-50 jump ball because Mike Evans is sitting man-to-man. Do you know how often Mike Evans was doubled yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Literally the entire game.
Yep.
Why is that, Peter? Because I just said it. They don't run the ball enough.
Well, and I don't know if that's going to change. I don't know what the play calling of this team, once again, I don't know what the identity is. I guess they're going to throw the ball until the cows come home. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and go out to Brady here, some of his comments, 2 of them here on the evolution of sports talk television. Here we go.
Tell him I don't care about drop balls. I really don't. I'd rather be more concerned if you don't get open than if you drop the ball. You know, I miss passes, they drop balls. You know, you just don't want to always go back to them. If they're out there, I have confidence in them.
That's interesting. Because not only is he talking about Cade Otton, I think he's talking about his wide receivers. And we saw that on that last drive. It would have been easy for Brady to basically not go back to Scotty Miller, but he did. He had confidence in him. So,
I wouldn't have went back to Scotty Miller.
do you believe him on that? Do you believe what
No.
he's saying? That
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I
Okay.
don't. He cares about those drop passes. You can see him on the sidelines. He cares about drop passes like he cares about when his offensive linemen aren't blocking correctly for him. Give me a break, man. A quarterback, when he puts one in on a dime and it's right here and you drop that pass, trust me, you're going to get an ass chewing either in the locker room or on the sideline from Tom Brady, because of the fact that the guy, is struggling to stand upright in the pocket to be able to deliver the ball. So I wouldn't put too much water in that glass. I'm sorry. That's all show there.
Well, and I think it goes back to what Brady said a couple of years ago. Some of the things he says 90% of the time are not true. But I got to feel like it did affect. A lot of people are asking what happened to Mike Evans what's happened to Mike Evans lately, because he had drops yesterday. And I feel like maybe that rib injury was something that was bothering him. But, uncharacteristically, Mike Evans has been dropping a lot of passes. Any worry at this point at all? No?
Nah, Mike Evans is still one of the best wide receivers ever to suit up.
Right.
And again, it goes back to what I was saying. You remember that wash cycle? It's rinse, repeat, run the football, set up play action. Mike Evans has got single coverage, and he's going to come down with 80% of those passes you're going to throw to him, especially in single coverage. I mean, come on, Peter. You could throw it within a 5-yard parameter of wherever Mike Evans was on the football field. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many times do you ever see that man drop a pass?
Yeah. Agree. I agree. I absolutely agree with you. I think that's the reason why, it's so weird to see it happen. I mean, all right, let's go back out to Brady here, and then we'll get out to JC Allen. If you want to hang out here, you can. If not, you got to run. We'll get you out of here. But I know you like JC. I know you like JC Allen, a Pewter report and his analysis here. Let's go back out to Tom Brady. Here we go.
I think Bai and I have a great relationship, so we talk about a lot, and I thought I liked that play, and went over, told Bai, and he's like, "Yes, go for it, let's go." So it's good.
It's good, and it's
That's
definitely
awesome.
good. And it was like a pass play action play, if you will. And guess what? It worked. And I almost feel like going on this show every week after the post-game editions that there's no urgency to this offense. Am I wrong? Do you see a lot of urgency? And if you don't see that urgency, why not go at the beginning of the game to a 2-minute drill? Why not try to quicken the pace or quicken the tempo, if you will, to get this team started? Because they have such a difficulty in starting in the first quarter.
Well, you know what? That's a question that J.C. Allen could really answer for you, and I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
Because he was able to dissect exactly what Tom Brady's strengths were, because he's such a huge New England fan, as well as been covering the Buccaneers as well. But from a handicapper's perspective, and me who's very critical on certain quarterbacks, they don't have to be so much in a hurry to get down the field. That's Tom Brady's job. When he feels that urgency, I mean, how much time was left in that last drive?
Yeah.
40 seconds, 50 seconds? What was it, Pete?
Yeah. It was 60 yards in 35 seconds. It was ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That game was over.
Yeah.
Okay. That's when he showed his enthusiasm to get him downfield. Here's the urgency. And he picks that team up when it happens. I mean, he's the GOAT for a reason. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what else to say. He's 45 years old, still playing at an absolutely incredible level. I mean, think about these stats. People are getting ready to make this man hang his cleats up. 10 touchdowns, 1 interception.
One.
Uno.
An interception.
Uno.
Uno.
Uno. And behind this offensive line, 1 interception.
I love this guy because I love you, Harry, because you're my co-host and we've been friends for so many years and you always give me a different perspective. But I love this guy right here we're about to bring on, a Pewter report, because he called out Byron Leftwich in a press conference.
Did he really?
Yes, he did. I wish I had the sound at this point. I wish you had the sound. JC Allen, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television on a Victory Monday. And I don't know if you have the sound or not, but go ahead and explain this to him.
I want to hear this.
What the question was.
Hi, Josh.
Byron Leftwich.
Hold on, I'll pull up the sound real quick.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Here we go, because we're gonna. I definitely want to hear this. And like I said, he kind of, he called him to the carpet. And I think a lot of people out there are kind of trying to question, why is it always, having to run on first down? Here we go, I think. We got it?
First down run, so you look at it, EPA, you're 32nd in the league. When we pass on 32nd in the league in what? And expected points added, EPA. And if you look at in passing situations, you guys are sick. Stats, they're stats. They tell the story. They don't lie. So, just wondering why I don't want to say stubbornness, but why continue to run the ball on first down when it's been ineffective?
We do what we feel as though the best thing for us to move the ball and to score points on every down.
As far as
all right, so there you go.
Joshua,
down.
seriously, make me full screen.
Yes, go ahead. Right? Because every
Bro,
fan wants to ask that question right now, and every media member is shaking their head because every week we have
your sack is like two cantaloupes sitting between your legs. Are you kidding me? That is awesome. I absolutely love it. You know what? You called them right to the carpet, Josh.
People want to know.
What do you see? But I have a question for you, Josh, and I'm going to let you go ahead and go with Peter. I just have a couple of questions. I'm really glad you're on. 70 on offensive plays, 20 rushing attempts, 58 pass attempts. Do you have a problem with that? Because, I mean, I do. And I know you know the game of football.
For me, it's more about sequencing. I get you got to want to try to run the ball, right? I think I understand that point. You can't just be one-dimensional team. It often doesn't play out, especially to your strengths. The safeties and cornerbacks are playing off. Linebackers are playing off because they know you're going to pass it. So you can't just be a one-dimensional passing team. It's the frequency and of the runs, specifically on first down. I'll get the numbers here for you in a second, how many times they ran it on first down and what they got for yardage. And it's also the expectation of the defense. It's very predictable. You see screens did not work yesterday because teams are starting to realize, okay, they're going to run it on first down. They're going to throw a screen. And now you're in third and 7, third and 6, third and 8. And now you're asking the offense to complete a difficult task, which is turnover on third. Convert on third and long. And they're one of the worst teams to do it in the league on offense. And that's been an issue. It's been sequencing and it's been calling to an extent, but more sequencing, right? You're better with play action on first. Even Tony Romo said it on the broadcast. There you go. Play action on first down. That's what you want to see. And when you're running it on first down, then that's when you without success, which is what I pretty much asked Byron. When do you change? How do you change it up? What do you do to change that up? Because teams obviously know. We saw the fudge come out from the Ravens. They're running the same plays, just out of a different look. It's the same plays, though, just out of different formation. It's starting to get very predictable. Teams around the league know what you're doing. Defenses know how to play it. And you're seeing plays end up in negative yardage or very few yards. And now you're forcing a second down pass. Now you're forcing a third down pass, and teams know what you're doing. It's just so predictable what this offense is doing. I get if you want to run. Sure, sprinkle some runs in there. Maybe do it out of a wide receiver, like a 3-4 wide receiver look.
Yeah, like a spread formation.
Spread the guys out, but you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results because that is insanity.
But you know what? You're absolutely correct, with the exception of one thing. Real good football teams can impose their will and tell a defense exactly what they're going to do. And the Bears are not a very good football team, but they're playing like they're world beaters right now, even though they lost. I mean, I was given an example. I don't know how long you were in the back room listening. When they were losing to Dallas and they gave up 28 unanswered points, just gave up 28 unanswered points. Chicago never got away from the game plan. They decided they were going to run that football no matter what, and they clawed within 3 points late in the third quarter, by imposing their will what they were going to do. Look, man, Leonard Fournette did not become a turd sandwich overnight. Okay, he did come to camp 30 pounds overweight. He came in because he got fed, and that very well may just be ruined. Okay, but turn the crown over to Rachaad White. Let the kid do what he's going to do best. And you know what? I think this team's going to rally behind him. But I know just as well as you do that Tom Brady is most effective when he has a running game, because when he's tucking that ball for that play action and pulling it back, there is nobody ever better at a play action pass than Tom Brady. Now you're opening up Godwin, Scotty Miller, and Mike Evans. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they should.
Probably when I get about 30 years old, I can say that.
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got some. Hold on one second. My fault. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but for some reason,
Yes.
Todd Bowles' press conference just came up.
Oh, that's
Started
cool.
playing out of nowhere.
No, but I was just kind of curious. I mean, I'm going to keep beating that drum because this team needs to run the ball with more effectiveness. And you are 1,000,000% correct. It's situational running that they need to be running the ball, not so predictable. But I don't think I'm wrong when I say, hey, if you want to impose your will and you want to say, hey, I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and I'm going to run it right up I'm going to run it right up the left guard's ass and you ain't going to stop me. Go ahead and try. They were doing that whenever they wanted to from before. What happened to that? And you can't tell me it's because of Rob Gronkowski's not playing.
Well, I think that's a big part of it. I also think you're losing Ali Marpet, who's an all-pro, losing a Ryan Jensen. I mean, you have all this shuffling. Alex Kappa, right guard. I think Shaq Mason's done a good job, but you have all that shuffling on the left side, and you have players that are unproved. I mean, is that really what's wrong with this offense right now, is all the shuffling on that offensive line? Or do you buy into it? Is it the play calling, or is it Brady seen his best days? Which is it, JC?
I think it's a combination of those things. I think obviously offensive line issues have been well documented. I think getting Leverett in there, it's definitely giving them a boost for sure, 1,000%. You can see that, more so in the pass blocking game. He only let, he didn't even let. There was only one pressure by Aaron Donald on that. That was on Shaq Mason. But he's been really good in pass protection, run protect. The whole line is stunk. And part of that's Ryan Jensen setting the tone. Part of that is play calling. Part of that is execution. I know Bucs fans are sick of hearing that word. There's multiple things that go into it. Even Coach Goody came out and said, recently in an interview with Rick Stroud that, they've got plays that worked last year. They've got plays that worked that they're just not going to. And he does, he's not the play caller. It's not on me to call those plays. And then I spoke with some of the offensive linemen, and they go to Tom and Byron every week with plays that they feel comfortable running against this opponent. And they're like, we don't get these plays called until later in the game. So it's a combination of multiple things that are really hampering this team running the ball. I think they can improve it somehow, but it's got to be out of a different look. This look is not working for you. It's got to be out of run the ball when you're up, when you're ahead. You pass the ball, get your points on the board, and then run the ball. Go to hurry up, run it out of shotgun, run it out of hurry up offense. That's going to get you where you need to be more so than really what you're doing right now. So I just tallied up all the first down runs. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 first down runs yesterday.
Okay.
The longest of which went for 7 yards.
Actually,
there were 12, but one of them was back to a penalty. So really, there are 12 first down runs. Leonard Fournette's on the first series alone. Leonard Fournette had 3 runs on first down, 1 for 3 yards, 1 for 2, 1 for 1 yard. The next series, Vaughn came in and had that big run for 5 yards. Leonard Fournette had another one for 4 yards. When you look at what's going on here, the next series was Rachaad White's 1 for 7, 1 for 6, 1 for 5. So already, you're seeing a difference when White's in the ball game. Leonard Fournette minus 1 yard, and his next one, White 4 yards, 2 yards. So 12 times they're in the ball on first down, overpassing the ball. And I feel like what their mindset's got to be right now is that, okay, so if we pass the ball on first down and it's incomplete, we have 0 yards there. But if we run the ball, even if we get 2 yards, that's 2 yards closer. And that's not the way they should be doing it, because they're far more effective running the ball on first down than they are passing the ball on first down than they are running on first down. If you get 0 yards on first down, fine, you can run it on second down. But by doing it on first down consistently, you're telling the defense, hey, we're running on first down because we want at least a yard or 2 to make this a 2nd and 8. And then what's happening is, for the most part, is incomplete passes on second down, and now you're in 3rd and 8, and now you have to convert this 3rd and long situation, which they haven't been good at. So something needs to change. I get the thought process of getting 2 yards on first down is better than anything, but what we're talking about here, you look at the snap disparity between Fournette and Rachaad White. It got better last night, but it wasn't to the point where it needs to be. Rachaad White needs to be seeing the field more. It's got to be around a 50-50 snap, because when Rachaad White in there, run for 6, run for 7, run for 5, that's what you want on first down. That's what I mean, sometimes it's football. You're going to get 2 yards, you're going to get 3 yards, but consistently when you look at these numbers, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2 for White, and -1, 4, 1, 2, 3 for Leonard Fournette. He's just not getting the job done on first down for this team when it comes to rushing. He's had some bigger plays. I think the longest of the year was for 17 yards, and I think that was in the Cowboys game. So he hasn't really done much since then, really on the running. I mean, he's been phenomenal as a receiver out of the backfield, and I think that's the way you utilize him in that role. Get both of these guys in pony like you did yesterday, both of these guys in the backfield. And then if you're going to run it with White. But if you've got a different play look, you leave White in for pass protection and you send Leonard Fournette out and you pass it to him. They've got to get more creative on offense. They've got to figure out, they've got to look at the tape and say, White gives us the best chance on first down. If we want to run it on first down, White's the guy we need to run it with, because right now it's not happening with Leonard Fournette. And it's also not happening with Leonard Fournette on short yardage situations. So they've got to do some really looking in the mirror. They've got a very tough opponent. I didn't think I'd say that coming into this week with the Seahawks, and then they had the bye week, and I think that's when they're going to really have to get into the playbook and say we got to figure this out, because it's not happening. You remember the Bucs offense struggled in 2020 until that late bye week. This could be another situation where they all sit down and say, look, I don't care that we paid Leonard Fournette $7 million. He's not hitting the hole. He's not running with patience and vision like Rachaad White is. He doesn't have the speed of the burst Rachaad White does. He needs to get more snaps. We need to get him more involved. We need to keep getting more involved in this passing game. We need to pass more on first down. We need to use more play action, even though the run game isn't working that well, unless you're Byron Leftwich, who thinks the opposite. They've got things they can do to improve this offense. It seems like the stuff we need to go to more hurry up offense. That we're not gassing anybody by running the ball. We're unsuccessful at it. We're the worst in the league in history since 1970. Versus EPA per rush versus yards per carry versus yards per game. The worst in NFL history. The worst. You're not gassing, but you know what? When you're in that hurry up mode and you're getting to the line, teams can't make substitutions. You're gassing guys out, and that's the situation they need to be in. And hopefully they get this win over the Seahawks this week in Germany, which is not going to be an easy task at all. Seahawks are playing very good, mistake-free football. It's in Germany, which is always weird, the travel and everything like that. It's a 9:30 a.m. game. But hopefully they can get this win going to the bye week and build upon that and look at the drawing board and say, this is really what's worked for us. And we need to go back to this. We need to stick with this, and we need to utilize it going forward, because that's what's going to win us a championship potentially.
I was going to have a wager with Peter how many breaths it took you to do that whole dissertation of that explanation.
Awesome.
That was really good. Hey, I got another question for you. 3 screen, please.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead. 3 screen. There we go.
The let's flip sides on the other side of the line, back to the defensive side with the addition of Akeem Hicks coming back in, to what they did to hold this Los Angeles Rams team to less than 70 yards in rushing and 165 yards in the air with Matt Stafford. Do you attribute a lot of that success of having Akeem Hicks back in there? Because I could tell you what I seen yesterday, but I'd love to hear what your input is.
Great question.
I think this game was really difficult to judge any of that on. The Rams have really struggled moving the ball, whether it's through the air or on the ground. They're ranked 31st coming in here, only averaging 3 yards more carry or 3 yards more per game than the Bucs coming into this game. Their running game has just not been there. And part of that's due to their offensive line, which is banged up. Brian Allen, their center, was banged up. Their left guard was absolutely atrocious yesterday, let up all 3 of those sacks. They lost their left tackle, their backup left tackle to injury yesterday. So they're on their 3rd string left tackle. So it's really hard to gauge how much of a difference that these players are going to make against a better team, a better line.
I got to tell you, man, they tried to at least go 50-50 between run and pass on the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense.
Right.
They still passed a few more attempts more than what they have. So I could see them making more of a concerted effort at trying to run the ball than what Tampa was trying to run. And they were trying to be a little bit more creative. But yes,
Right.
they have been struggling trying to move the ball. But you know what? You can't help who the NFL puts in front of you from week
Right,
to
exactly.
week
And to answer your question, I think Akeem Hicks's addition, we saw it was huge. I mean, it allowed Vita Vea to get more one-on-ones, allowed him to
Oh yeah.
utilize what he does best, and that's use his athleticism and speed for a 350-pound guy, former running back in high school, to really get after the quarterback and use his power and bully people in the backfield. And he ended up with 2 sacks. He was really good, and part of that was because Akeem Hicks was there to take that double team. You saw Nacho get his first sack with the Buccaneers.
Did you ever see anybody get as excited?
That rotational role.
Did you ever see anybody get as excited as Nacho after a sack?
It was his first sack, man. He does, when he gets a tackle for a loss, he'll do the Nacho chip dip. But for his first sack, that was awesome. I think Nancy was there too. So it was
I couldn't help but laugh my ass off. And by the way, Joe Tryon actually had a little bit of
a great game.
A little bit, from to me, it was his best game of his career. And I'll tell you what, he was able to roam around left to right. I was pretty impressed to see what they did on defense. I kind of fell asleep watching the tape today on the offensive side of it because until that last 40 seconds of the game, I was like, oh, okay. But then again, don't get too excited, ladies and gentlemen. What kind of defense was the LA Rams in? It was called the prevent to win, and it's exactly what it is. You go that deep, you can pass. But I'll tell you what, you still have to get it downfield to do that.
Sure you do. And I always go back, and we're on with JC Allen of Pewter Report, my co-host here, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. It goes back to Scotty Miller for me. And Harry, I know you got to run here in just a little bit, but just stay on for just a little bit if you can. Scotty Miller drops that pass in the end zone.
Oh, I went nuts.
But and I know you did. But JC, sure enough, on that last drive when the Bucs get the ball back and they drive 60 yards, Brady goes right back to him. And Scotty does know he catches the ball a couple times there, moves the chains. He was big. I mean, do you look at that and say, you know what, move Scotty Miller to the slot there because Chris Godwin isn't 100%? Can we count on Scotty Miller? I still say you go after an OBJ, but let's talk about Scotty Miller a little bit.
Yeah, I think Scotty Miller, he's done some really good things when he's been in the game throughout the season. Obviously, he's had some drops, that touchdown most notable, but he really made up for, redeemed himself on that final drive. Not only getting the ball, being able to pick up extra yardage afterwards and having the awareness to step out of bounds and preserve as much clock as he did. I think he redeemed himself for that. I think Scotty, I think he's got a role in this offense. And I think that, throughout the first half of the season, really, Byron has struggled to figure out what that role is. Brady still has trust in him. They still have good chemistry. And Brady showed that. I'm going to go back, and he said it afterwards. I'm not going to stop throwing to a guy because it drops. Drops happen. And it was a great way to overcome. Scotty said after the game, he was like, I'm glad we got the win because if not, I was going to feel like that was on me. It was a bit of a difficult catch. Did he need to jump for it? I don't know. There was a guy right there. So, it was still a very catchable ball. He probably should have caught that ball. But at the same time, I don't give him as much. It was a tough day for everybody, Evans and Godwin and everybody had tough days with the dropsies. So, you can't really fault the guy. And quite frankly, the Bucs shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. They have a much better team than to be only scoring 16 points a game and really relying on your MVP, which is Ryan Suckup at this point.
Yeah.
I think that
OBJ, I know Ray Kennedy's happy.
Right. I think OBJ is probably an unlikely scenario at this point. He went on
want him
a podcast and pretty much said that he's looking for a home. He doesn't want to live out of a suitcase anymore. He really I think, and we heard these reports early in the season, he's looking for like a 3 or 4 year deal. And I think there's other teams that are going to be interested that might offer him that. The Packers are so desperate. I think that's one team the Giants are interested. The Cowboys, we've heard a lot of chatter about that. There's multiple teams I feel like he could go to and get a long-term deal out of them, or at least more money. The Bucs only have $3.5 million. They don't seem inclined to want to have to restructure anybody. If they're going to restructure anything to open up cap space, I think the bigger spot would probably be for Rob Gronkowski. Talking to Todd Bowles the other day, it kind of made it appear like getting a guy who doesn't know the system and having to bring him in, give him 3 weeks to get up to speed, etc., is not something they want to do. That's why they brought Tyler Johnson back. And I think Tyler Johnson can't provide a boost to this team. Last year, I know everyone was upset with him, didn't step up, but you're asking him to replace Chris Godwin in a role that we've talked about in the offseason. I don't really think is his best spot. I know he's got the capability of playing there. I think he's an outside possession guy that's going to move the chains for you. Last year he averaged 10 yards a catch. I think that's the pickup that they made at wide receiver. I don't see OBJ happening. I still, fingers crossed about Gronk potentially after the bye week. He made a comment on Fox that his girlfriends miss him, so we'll see if that's in the play. But as far as Scotty, they need to find a way to get him more involved. OBJ, I don't think it's an option, and I think we'll see less of Rashad Perriman going forward as well.
Thank you, Jesus.
And I know that makes Harry very happy because he hates Bashard.
He sucks.
And
he sucks. I mean, stop. Call it what it is, okay? He sucks. I mean, look, man, no disrespect. Tyler Johnson couldn't make it on Houston, and I will take Tyler Johnson over Bashard Perriman any day of the week. Give me a break.
He didn't play a snap. With that being said,
I got to go.
Yeah, you do got to go. All right, Harry, go ahead and promote yourself here.
First off, JCA, it's always a pleasure seeing you on here. Make sure you catch me on Sunday morning with the hottest picks on 1252 Sports, 10 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. And for those like the people in Canada, like way out west, I have no idea what time it is. Anyway, Peter, thank you so much for having me on.
Before you jump off here, I just got the Jets pick. The Jets pick. That was a good pick, my man. That was a good pick.
He did.
That wasn't the only one.
I know, but that was one of the ones that I heard while I was on here.
I had a couple of dogs in there that were playing some. Who was the other dog that I took yesterday?
Did you take Jacksonville in that game too? And I think
Jacksonville was a small favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, they came back. Who was it? You know what? Now you got me going. Don't go anywhere.
All right, we won't go anywhere.
There were so many.
There were, and of course, the Colts today decided to fire their head coach and Frank Reich.
Is that a big surprise?
Who's the new coach?
How about the Detroit Lions? Hello, give me a little bit of love there, okay?
Wow,
okay.
Wow. Green Bay sucks.
Let's go down the line. Hang on. Bills at the Jets. Took the Jets in the point. Bengals at the Panthers. I had no opinion. Green Bay at the Lions. I said, forget about taking the points. Take the Lions on the money line. They covered. Patriots and the Colts. I thought the Patriots were an easy 5-point favorite in that game. Chargers at the Falcons. Chargers, it pushed. I took them. They were -3. Raiders at the Jaguars. Jaguars were getting points. I said the Jags will win the game outright. Dolphins at the Bears. I thought that the Dolphins would absolutely mop up the Chicago Bears in that game. I took the Dolphins in every one of my parlays, and they didn't cover. They only won by 3 points.
Yep.
The Vikings at the Commanders. Didn't really have an opinion at the game. Seattle at the Cardinals. Loved the Cardinals in that game. They laid another turkey egg. The Rams at the Buccaneers. Told everybody to play the Buccaneers. They were -3. It's a push, so it's a no bet. But yeah, absolutely. But my 2 underdog picks, the ones that I said, hey, I'm giving 2 underdogs every week to win outright. One of them was the Jets. The other one were the Lions.
Yep. There you go. Well, 2-0. Good stuff there, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. Thanks a lot for your time, my friend. We'll see you soon, all right?
JCA, keep up the good work and don't stop busting balls, brother, because you know what? You ask the tough questions. It's their job to answer them.
Hey, Thursday's coming up pretty quick. We'll see it.
I can't wait. Are you going to Germany?
Oh, no, I wish. But I'll be there at Byron and Brady's press conference on Thursday, so keep your ear to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
I can't.
Well, we may have to have a Thursday night show just for that.
Hey, let me ask you a question, man. Can I get you up on a Sunday morning early, or are the kids going to be bothering you?
I don't know if I could video in, but I could probably call in.
No, there's a reason why I wanted you to video in.
This Sunday, I'll be on a pregame show before the game, but
the following Sunday I would like to have you, and I'll tell you why. Because we're going to give you something a little bit different. We're going to expand you outside the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New England Patriots. We're going to bring you all over the NFL, because that knowledge that's in between those 2 ears, very, very few people have what you have, and I'd love to get you on because I think you'd have a blast.
Well, that's a bye week. That's the bye week for the Bucs, so it's perfect. We'll have to get them on in 2 weeks. So good.
Who knows? Maybe the Greek will throw a big barbecue over at the house. Anyway, deuces, everybody. Keep up the good work. Keep asking the hard questions because you're going places, kid. We'll see you later.
All right, there you go. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, on with us here. We'll come back to J.C. Allen of Pewter Report. Going back to those comments with Harold Goodwin, what do you make of them? Could there be a change if once again, and I get it, they get a win is a win, but like you said, they're still scoring 16 to 18 points a game. They're having problems in the red zone. could there be still some changes on that bye week to go with the Harold Goodwin possibly?
I don't think so. I just don't. I fully expect changes in the offseason. Fully expect them, whether that's coaches leaving for other opportunities, whether that's coaches being fired. I definitely expect there to be changes to this staff in the offseason, especially in the offensive side of the football. Right now, I don't know if they feel comfortable with the guys they have in-house to make that change with a Clyde Christensen or Kevin Garver or Thad Lewis. I don't know if they feel comfortable enough to make the change at offensive coordinator. So I think we're riding it out with Byron Leftwich for the rest of the year. But I definitely expect changes in the offseason. Even if he does have another difficult game against the Seahawks, I still expect them to roll with him. I don't expect any big changes in the bye week at all. Maybe personnel-wise on the football field, maybe, like I said, Rachaad White becoming running back one or getting that full that healthy split or other instances like that. But I don't expect any coaching changes to happen this season at all.
All right, good stuff. And no BA, no possibility. I know he's a consultant of this.
BA has hands off on this.
Yeah.
Like he's
Is
golfing.
that what this team is missing, in your opinion? I mean, they had an identity with BA, was no risk it, no biscuit. Is this what this team is missing? Is this why the offense and maybe some of the accountability from the players, they've had their struggles this year? Are they missing BA, in your opinion?
Well, BA was very hands-off last year. I mean, the red pen story came out, but he was very hands-off. He let Brady and Byron pretty much, and mostly Byron, run the offense, call the plays, etc. You heard after the game, Brady said, I said I like this call to Byron, and he said go for it. So Brady was actively calling those play calls on the final 2-minute drive, both drives really, to get them into position. We saw how good it looked. We've seen how good that hurry-up offense has looked all season. So, I don't necessarily think they miss BA. I think they really screwed up with Gedeke starting right away. I really think that was the biggest issue there. Maybe not right away, but I think that Dallas game was such what's the word I'm looking for? Was such a bad thing to happen. I don't know. I can't think of the word because Gedeke played pretty well. He had a couple, instances where he let up some pressure, but you expect that from a rookie, right? Playing his first NFL game.
Sure.
The problem is I think they stuck with him for too long and then put him up against this murderer's row of pass rush. And Brady started feeling really uncomfortable in the pocket. Hainsey's done a pretty good job, but he's had some struggles as well. I don't think there's that attitude on that offensive line. None of those guys are real, like, tough in your face. None of them are trying to piss off Fletcher Cox during a game like Ryan Jensen would. I think Leverett's brought these last two games, and I think they'll be absolutely insane to go back to Gedeke at this point. But I think the damage is already done. I think Brady, I think he's held in a little bit longer these last two games. But I still think he's got concerns about the offensive line, about the blocking issues, and that's been part of it. Play calling, obviously, he doesn't call the plays. Byron's the one calling the plays in. They did a little bit of a better job in personnel groupings out there when they were running the ball. So there's probably Brady probably could have audibled into some deeper throws, but it also comes down to what they're getting for coverage. I think the play calling too, the plays that they're running and the sequencing goes back to sequencing. It's so obvious that these teams are starting to, and they're starting to understand what's coming. They know what's going on. They know, okay, they're going to do this on this look. They're going to do that on that look. When the screens were coming, you could tell that they were ready. They were ready for the screens, and that's why they're so ineffective. I just think there's definitely opportunities to get better for sure, and they need to force the ball down the field more. It's just play calling, Brady's comfortability. I think that just needs to improve. And hopefully this next week against the bye week. I mean, it's a tough challenge. Tariq Williams playing really good over there. They've got, Kobe Bryant's playing really good. They got some good cornerbacks. So Brady had almost 3 interceptions that didn't happen. 2 of them would have been pick sixes. One of them would have been in the end zone to seal the game. I just think that it's a combination of so many different things on the offense. It's easy to point the blame at Byron, and for the most part, I do point the blame at Byron. Part of it is choosing to go with Gedeke for so long. Part of it is sequencing and play calling, but it's also, I hate this word this week, execution as well. So, the players haven't executed, whether it's been blocking assignments, whether it's been drops, Mike Evans had another easy catch that he dropped, yesterday as well. So the blame goes all over the place on offense. It's not just for any one person, but majority of it goes to Byron.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'd like to see Tom Brady call more of this offense. I'd like to see more urgency out of this offense. We got Jason Powers coming on here in just a little bit. Jason, stand by here. We got JC Allen, a Pewter Report. Let's go out to our phone lines. Curtis from Newport Richie, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with JC Allen, a Pewter Report. Yes.
JC, my boy, what's going on,
man? I feel like we always talk when we're on here together. It's always good.
We do. We should have a question and answer segment to the webheads out there, especially Curtis, because I know Curtis loves JC.
He brings it.
That's what he does. Absolutely does.
Listen, I literally just walked in from work. I'm watching Monday Night Raw, and I clicked on my phone and I seen you guys on. I'm like, oh shit, let me get in here. Let me get in here and see what's going on.
Correct.
I want to comment on what JC just said. Listen, I agree with you. I hate to put the blame on Byron, but my thing is this, and me and Pete had this conversation yesterday.
Yep.
I love Todd Bowles, but Todd Bowles, he's a head coach who, and I hate to say this, but he doesn't give a damn about the offense. He has to care because he's the head coach. But if it was up to him, he wouldn't have anything to do with it. He wouldn't. And what I kind of don't like about Byron is we go in we always have a great drive, like the first drive of the game. Then just the offense completely stalls. And then you go into halftime. And I've been noticing we've been getting like a field goal going into halftime every game pretty much now. And the offense stalls, and then he goes into the halftime, and it's like there's no adjustments being made.
I tweeted that yesterday. No adjustments.
And then, like me and Pete, I talked to Pete yesterday, but then when the game is on the line, we get into this 2-minute offense and we drive down the field like
easy,
nothing. Like we should have been doing the whole effing game.
Right.
And my thing is this: if you're stalling after 2 or 3 drives, you got 2 or 3 and outs. Why not just go into 2-minute offense immediately? Get some rhythm going on.
Has this team scored 1 touchdown this year in the first quarter? Is that correct, JC?
Just one touchdown.
One touchdown in the first quarter. You don't come out with urgency. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Now, I'm going to say this, Pete and JC. Now, I know Mike Evans is beat up. Mike Evans, and me and Pete talked about this yesterday. Mike Evans, I don't think he's been healthy all year. I really don't.
Nope. And I think that rib injury was a lot more to it than a lot of people are saying.
Yeah. But you got to love the grit of this guy because he goes out there. He puts his head down. He doesn't bitch. He doesn't complain. He goes out there and he does his best. Has he dropped some balls? Of course. He's dropped more balls than we've seen since his rookie year. And, I really think he's beat up. And, he's not. You just can't take. He's not going to allow for you to take him off the field.
No, he's not.
He's just not going to allow for it to happen.
Is that a fair point, JC, that you think he's more beat up than he's saying because he is such a warrior? I mean, that shot yesterday was kind of reminiscent of the Rams game last year to where they gave Rob Gronkowski a shot in his ribs and he had all kinds of problems. So Mike Evans, any worry there with him being so beat up?
He's been dealing with injuries all season, whether it's been the hamstring to start, whether it's been the ankle injury that most recently kept him out of practice. Now it's going to be a rib injury as well. That's going to keep him out of practice or probably this week, at least in the walkthrough sections. So, I mean, it has been stuff every week that he's been dealing with. I think he is banged up. But again, like you said, he's a warrior. He's not going to not be out there if he can't.
You're going to
pull him off the field.
You got to drag the jersey off of this guy for him to get off the field, man. Like literally.
Right. Yes. And I don't know if he's really at the point where he's hurting the team necessarily. I just think that he needs to he needs to. I hate this word. He needs to play with better execution. He needs.
No, no,
He needs to reel in the balls, and he needs to. It's concentration.
Yeah.
And it's play calling for real too. It's been play calling as well. Like it's really has been. Yesterday he had a tough matchup with Jalen Ramsey. You know, Jalen Ramsey for everything that people like to dog on him in that last play, obviously, of the game, and the last play of the Super Bowl where he got burnt. Jalen Ramsey is still probably the best cornerback in the league right now, and
whoa.
a tough matchup.
I got a comment on that.
Yeah.
I listen. I don't want to get off subject, but I'm gonna just throw this in there real quick. I like that kid, Sauce Gardner.
Sauce is good, but I need to see it for a full season before.
No. You're right.
Agree.
But that kid has the potential.
I tell you what, Ramsey had some comments that I didn't agree with. I don't know if you saw this or not, but basically blaming the offense, putting the full blame on the offense, and saying in so many words, we didn't expect to be out there. That's not something you say. I get it. You're frustrated at the end of the game, but that's just not good. And once again, it makes him look like a prima donna. And I just go back to this. He said he's the best corner in the league. I didn't see it last year in that playoff game versus Mike Evans. In fact, I thought Mike Evans toasted him.
You didn't see it against Jamar Chase in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Jamar Chase was destroying him out there.
Right.
Well, I mean, let's think of the defensive play calling that they were doing, letting Tom Brady beat you with a million paper cuts while they were playing that prevent defense. You guys know who the defensive coordinator is very well. You guys are familiar with him.
Raheem Morris, of course.
You mean the guy that's out there partying with his team, right?
The Dream Raheem.
Yes.
Partying with the team.
Hungry. Partying with Josh Freeman. Curtis, we got to run. Use that second call, my friend. I got to get JC out of here. Yeah, go ahead. One thing I
want to say is, God, it was just on the tip of my tongue. Oh my God!
You better find it.
I'll tell you what. Save it, and when you think of it, call me back because we're gonna get Jason Powers on. Appreciate you. Let me go ahead and give you the air horn. Let me fire those cannons right there. Appreciate the call as always. Curtis, call back. JC, I know you got to run and get out of here, so go ahead and promote yourself once again. Thanks a lot for your time.
Always, man. JC Allen on Twitter, JC Allen NFL on Twitter, Pewter Report on Twitter, pewterreport.com, Pewter Report TV on YouTube. Find me there. I'm all over the place, as always. So, guys, I appreciate it. Stay tuned for Thursday when I've got some words for Byron Leftwich. And with that being said, Peter, thanks for having me on again. And we'll have to do this again soon, my man.
We will do it again soon, my friend. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's JC Allen of Pewter Report.
Go the beard back.
Go the beard back. We'll see. All right. Get out of here. Enough with the beard. All right. I had to change. People saying I look too old. All right. Let's go back out to the comments. We'll get out to Jason Powers. Powers on Sports Podcast and No Quarter Given podcast on the BuckPower.com network. Good show as always. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you. Lenny doesn't hit the hole. Let's go out to David. I said it before the year even started. Once we lost Bruce and Brady came back, he was going to try to break every passing record, and we will have the worst running game on the team in team history. But I guess I should have said NFL history. It's that bad. But I think it's more not only that, but also your offensive line and the consistency and the shuffling. There's so many factors. I hope they can get it cleared up. And Jones wanted to get into the game on the last drive, and he didn't look like he was 100% and hasn't been 100% all year long. Tell you what, this guy's 100%. Mr. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast, No Quarter Given podcast, which we're about to do here in just a little bit on the BuckPower.com, where it features history. Paul Stewart runs a great website. Welcome to the Evolution. Your thoughts on a Victory Monday. Finally, my friend, we can talk about it. Bucks win 16-13 over the Rams. Welcome.
What's going on, Peter Blake? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, buddy. And I tell you right now, I got to get your thoughts on this game because there was a time there. It looked like Scotty Miller drops the ball. It didn't look like he dropped it. It looked like the Bucks were going to lose the game. But, of course, the defense comes up. And then Brady goes 60 yards in 35 seconds for his 55th fourth quarter comeback, surpassing Mr. Peyton Manning, and the Bucks go on to win. Your thoughts on this whole entire game, which I thought was the majority of it was nonsense, especially when talking about this offense.
Yeah, I mean they keep trying to put it together. This is just going to be one of those years where we're going to labor on offense for whatever reasons, variety of different reasons, health, age, lack of speed on offense. It's going to be one of those years where we're going to have to labor through it. And hopefully by week 15, 16, 17, we at least start to get where we're scoring in the mid-20s. We don't need to score 35 every week, but you got to get in the mid-20s every week to be a championship contender. And if they can just figure it out, and this is one of those kind of games, I know it wasn't pretty, Buck fans, but an emotional win. You saw the emotion between Byron and Brady on the sideline. One of those kind of games where I was working, like I don't know if I think I told you this. I was working in the Rams radio booth with the Rams play-by-play and Maurice Jones-Drew doing the game. They said Sean McVay at halftime said, "We expect the defense to win this game for us." So the conservative play calling that you saw late in the game was because of Sean McVay's lack of confidence in the Buccaneer offense, and that's why you saw the very conservative play calling at the end where they ran it 3 straight times, didn't even try to get a first down. They thought their defense was going to shut down the Buccaneer offense.
And you're the reason why the Bucs won yesterday, because you put the hex on them with covering them, knowing that you covered the Bucs also. So there you go. That's what we need to do. Good stuff there, my friend. Good stuff.
The bad part is, Peter Blake, I couldn't show any emotion in the press box when he throws the ball wide open to Otten. I gotta be like, I have no emotion because literally we were right next to the Rams coaches. The next booth over was all the Ram coaches in the press box, and you should have seen some of the reactions on their faces when they gave up the 60-yard drive and they kept playing 10 yards off on the last drive.
You know, coming into this game, we knew that opposing quarterbacks could have success versus this Rams defense, passing for 80% if you go past play action. Why have we not seen that more from this Bucs-led offense? Why have we seen more pass play action, especially with that matchup yesterday? 80% to opposing quarterbacks by this Rams defense, and yet you only see it 2 times. And then, of course, the last play of the game is kind of pass play action, right?
Because the Rams defense isn't playing the run. The Bucs a running game is so anemic. They're just playing their normal rush lanes on a pass rush. And Lenny Fournette's going to run right into him eventually, and they're going to tackle him. Play action comes when you can run the ball. All the stuff we've seen with Gronkowski over the years, the crossing routes and the quick throws. I like that the Bucs had a little half roll out there with Brady in the last play. I really like that. I think that was a creative way formationally to do that. And got to give Byron, I don't know who called the play. I think Byron called it because you heard after the game that was something they'd worked on a lot. And remember, the Rams the Buccaneers had time after the pass interference call to call in the play. So you got to give Byron credit. Very creative play call right there at the end with the little half rollout by Brady.
Actually, it was Brady. Because this is actually what Brady had to say. Here we go. Let me see.
I think By and I have a great relationship, so we talk about a lot, and I thought I liked that play, and went over, told By, and he's like, "Yes, go for it, let's go."
There you go.
So there you go.
But here's what I'll say.
Yes,
you have to give Byron credit because he allows Tom to make those suggestions and make the calls when he wants to do it. There's some OCs out there that don't do that. Even though Tom's great and we know he's the best, there are some hard-headed OCs out there and head coaches that say, we're going with my play on the goal line. I think so you got to give Byron a little credit. Sure, you can nitpick the offense, but you can also can you nitpick Scotty Miller? He's wide open in the end zone.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there were guys open in the game.
Yeah.
Tom didn't throw all the balls great. And give the Rams credit. And the Rams have always been a tough matchup for Brady when he's been with the Bucs. It's not like we've exposed them in years past with Tom Brady here. So that's always been a tough matchup for the Buccaneer offense going against that Raheem Morris defense.
And I have talked about that coming in. I mean, I gave my rant out there how it was a family affair, how it's all about football. And I've heard stories 79. I experienced 99. I've experienced all those losses to the Rams. So if you get a win 16-13, I don't care how ugly it is. At the end of the day, it's a win. A win is a win. We're on with Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast. No Quarter Given podcast on the buckpower.com network there. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about here on the Evolution, the Sports Web, live on I Love St. Pete, the hub and amped up sports. Go like and follow the Sports Web on YouTube. With that being said, Scotty Miller,
Yeah.
do you feel like, and I asked JC this, I asked Harry this, I'm going to ask you this, do you feel like Scotty Miller should be more in the slot? Because he is that guy that's fast. I get it. He doesn't have necessarily the consistent hands, but he can, pull the top off of that defense, because to me, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, especially Godwin, doesn't look 100%. Doesn't look like he has that same quickness, if you will. It seems like he's still getting over that injury. So do you kind of make some changes there? Do you go with the Scotty Miller at this juncture?
I mean, you saw I don't know if you saw it, but I saw the clip on CBS where Julio was talking to the wide receiver coach trying to get back in the game, and they said, "No, Julio, you've had it. I mean, you're done for today." Because when he slipped on that out route, you could tell he was limping. He kind of grimaced as he got up. He walked off gingerly. That knee's not right. I mean, and it probably is not going to be right till this season's over. I hate to say it. And Julio's probably in a position where he's only going to be able to contribute a handful of plays a game, whether it's a pitch count, 8 or 10, 10 to 15 plays is probably all you're going to be able to get out of Julio, whether it's just the achiness in that knee, the explosion out of that knee. I don't think you're going to be able to see Julio for more than 10 to 15 plays in a game at best, if that.
And that's why I still contend that OBJ is going to be signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I get it. There may be better teams out there like the Buffalo Bills, possibly the Cowboys, the Giants, but you get an opportunity to play with the greatest of all time and the respect value. And then on top of it, you can bring some juice to this offense. I don't know what type of contract he wants, but we all know that Jason Light is a wizard along with the Bucs front office. So what do you say? What did you think about hearing that rumor this week that the Bucs were kind of in that conversation to recruiting OBJ? And have you lost hope on a Rob Gronkowski coming back? Or do you think that door could be possibly closed with the emergence of what the broadcasters were saying yesterday, baby Gronk and a Cade Otton?
You got to be impressed with what Cade's doing. He's catching the ball. He doesn't drop the ball. He's running good routes. He's pretty quick. I mean, he's not, again, Gronkowski is an elite runner after the catch, but I mean, Cade Otton, give him credit. He's done a very good job. I like and I think Brady, you can tell Brady trusts him. Brady's more and more in the mix with him. Again, great seam route he ran that first play of the last drive. I mean, so I think again, sure, would we love Gronk to come back? Absolutely. My prediction was Halloween, November 1st. That's passed, so I was wrong there. Again, only if they had another injury, maybe at tight end 3-4 weeks down the road. Again, if the Bucs ran all 4 or 5 wins in a row, could you see Gronk for the stretch drive? I guess that's theoretically possible. I don't think you're going to see Gronk. I mean, as much as I hate to say that, I don't think you're going to see Gronk. And as far as OBJ goes, it's going to be really, really interesting to see, because I think another team is going to give him a multi-year contract and going to pay him some pretty good money. I think Dallas is a team that's in need of a wide receiver. I think, again, maybe even Buffalo. We'll see. Maybe, again, I don't think he's going to Green Bay because they're done. I don't even think he might go back to the Rams because they're in shambles now on offense too. I think it's probably Bucs, Dallas, Buffalo are probably the 3 teams. Maybe Kansas City in the event there's an injury there in this coming up week or so. But I think those are the 4 teams you're probably looking at for OBJ. Russell Gage, that's the guy. That's the free agent we all thought was going to be a quality third down guy, a third receiver. He's been a massive disappointment so far. Hopefully he's healthy after the bye. He probably won't play this week in Germany. Probably give him that extra week in Germany plus the bye. That's the guy we need to see step up to be the number 3 receiver. Scotty Miller, to me, is not a great slot guy. He doesn't read defenses great. I know he's got some quickness, but he's more of a straight line runner and route runner, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you on that. I completely agree, but I think he has that speed aspect. With that being said, speaking of somebody stepping up yesterday, do you feel like Devin White kind of set the tone for this defense? You've seen the excitement. The guy wasn't bored, if you will. He was all over the place, not out of position. What did you see out of Mr. Devin White yesterday?
Played much better. Yeah, played much better. Much more. Again, I had a great view from the press box. He was in on a lot of tackles. He was in on the pile a lot. I mean, there was no glaring showed lack of effort. He was hustling. He was doing what he needed to do, and that's the guy he is. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's something going on at home that we don't know about. Whatever,
Right.
but he played much more consistently yesterday, and you saw the production by the Buccaneer defense when he did do that.
Absolutely. Let's go out to Curtis. Curtis, using your second call. Welcome back to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast, and No Quarter Given Podcast. Which, by the way, you need to check that out on buckpower.com. Check out that podcast, Curtis. I think you'll like it.
Yeah. Jason, I agree with you so much. I would love to see Scotty Miller play more in the slot. And, it's just that consistency is not there. It's really not. And, that it's even the same with like Jalen Darden. Like, there was so much potential there, but what is he really doing for this team?
Well, I think he gives them, he gives them that speed threat because you really don't have that, right? I mean, Mike Evans, not a speed guy. He's deceptively quick, but not fast. Chris Godwin, of course, I think, again, he's not 100%. Russell Gage, disappointing. Julio Jones, disappointing at this juncture. Brashard Perriman can't catch, even though he can run. And you got the greatness of Jalen Darden, who also has speed, but anytime he fields a punt, he's running out of bounds. Give
him credit now. Jalen Darden, the last couple of weeks, has returned the ball better on the punt returns. He's had some 10 to 15-yard returns the last couple of weeks. Better effort, better blocking in front of him, which I think is a lot part of the equation, too, that we all poo-poo and think the return man can do it all by himself. You got to have some guys blocking in front of you. And they've done a better job the last couple of weeks doing that.
That's fair enough. All right. So, Curtis, what do you think?
I definitely, you're absolutely right. K. Dotton, I love that kid. I thought when we drafted him, I thought we had a really big steal at a tight end because, a lot of these tight ends in the NFL nowadays, these guys don't go in the first round. I mean, you get a couple that go in the first round, but, you can get premier tight ends now, second, third, fourth round nowadays. And that kid, man, I've been watching this kid more and more. He's a player. When he gets his opportunity, he doesn't miss. And he
showing some athleticism. He's had a couple of those diving catches up the seam. He's got some agility. He's not stiff and bulky and stiff. He's got some agility and some athleticism that he displays. Broke a couple tackles. Remember this, Buck fans. If K. Dotton gets tackled in bounds last night, the game's over.
Yeah,
he caught the ball on the 2-3 yard line. Not the 2 or 3, but he wasn't in the end zone when he caught the ball. He had to turn the corner and get a couple more yards. And I get it, he was open, but if he gets tackled in bounds, the game's over.
Game's over. Game's absolutely over, and he's made some tough catches. And hats off to that young man because of the adversity he's gone through off the field with losing his mother.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine losing a loved one. I can't imagine losing a loved one, but having to play a football game, it kind of puts things in perspective at the end of the day.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, and I hate to go back like this. It reminds me of NFC Championship, Joe Jurevicius.
Yep.
When he lost his son.
Yep. Right
and
before.
Like, man, just dude, that we had all heard about it right before that game, and everybody's heart was out to Joe, man, and even I go back and watch the America's game every once in a while, and even Sapp was like, they didn't know if Joe was going to play or not.
Yeah. But you had the team had his back, and I think this team had his back. And I tell you right now, go ahead, Jason.
Curtis, No Quarter Given Podcast. A few episodes back, we talked to Brad Johnson. And what did Brad Johnson tell us, Peter Blake? The exact play call to Jurevicius for the touchdown in Philadelphia. So you got to go listen to the No Quarter Given Podcast, and you'll hear that whole story.
Yep, you got to get on that. Again, buckpower.com. Paul Stewart does a phenomenal job. We put on a podcast called No Quarter Given. Of course, Paul gives his history perspective, if you will, about this team. And it's fun because you do remember those games from those respective teams. So
that's the whole story about that whole play in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Audibles and everything.
Beautiful.
I want to say this, and then I'll let you guys go. Other people can call in and stuff. I'm going to tell you something. This defense,
they played good yesterday.
They played very well.
They like Bowles said. I watched this little post game interview. It was a busted coverage on that 69-yard touchdown.
Play.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for that, the Rams had nothing.
Yes.
And remember, they did give up the one long crossing route in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
On the long over route, the long throwback. So they gave up 2 plays, but again, you held them to a field goal there. It was 1st and goal. I think the throw was to it might have been to Allen Robinson on the throwback across the field.
No, it was Cooper Kupp. It was again that.
You're right. It was.
Cooper Kupp has basically been a Bucs killer, and it doesn't matter. That guy figures out a way to get open, and somebody will have to explain to me how he continues to get open, especially versus this Bucs defense. But I will say this, guys. I'll ask you this, Jason and Curtis. How concerned are you about this defense? 5 consecutive games not causing a turnover. You have to go all the way back to the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
A dubious distinction. Still, the defense is getting done. But Curtis, I got to ask you, and then I'll go out to you, Jason. Curtis, how concerned are you?
I'm not concerned. I'm going to tell you why I'm not. I'm going to tell you why I'm not concerned. And, this is just my opinion. Everybody has one of those.
You always have it here on the Sports Web.
You're giving up between 13 and 20 points with no turnovers.
Exactly.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that all day long.
And turnovers come in bunches. They tend to come in bunches. I know we're going through a drought right now, but they come in bunches. And here's another thing. Remember, Peter, Levante David might have dropped a touchdown yesterday. He undercut the route at about the 10-yard line. And he's normally a guy with sure hands. When he gets his hands on the ball, he normally catches the ball. He would have either intercepted the ball and run a long ways and got tackled, or potentially could have gone 90 yards for a touchdown because he undercut that route. They'll come. What I liked yesterday, Curtis and Peter, we tackled well.
Yes.
Not a lot of missed tackles.
Yeah,
Davis, Murphy, Bunny, they tackled very well on the edges on these running games.
Hey, hello, Devin White. Where have you been lately? I was like, oh man, where's this guy been?
Well, again, I think he set the tone, and I think it goes back to the Thursday tweet by Tom Brady. We got your back, Devin White. Sometimes a team needs to hear that. Sometimes a young player, and we got to remember that Devin White is still a young man. At the end of the day, he's still a young player. He still has emotions, and I certainly believe that he was embarrassed by getting called out by a Hall of Famer like Warren Sapp.
And sometimes they need to get called out.
Yes.
That's what I like too. He said Bowles has been all over him. Warren Sapp was all over him. The media's guys that's what a guy like that needs. I don't say he's been called it his whole life, but since he's been at LSU and in the Bucs, he's been, oh my God, Devin White is the best. He needs to have his ass called out, and I appreciate the Bucs and Warren Sapp for doing it.
I agree. Go ahead, Kirk.
Well, number one, he was really happy LSU beat Alabama this weekend. So.
Well, there you go. There you go. And I think there's a Florida State fan here, Florida State fans that are happy that they kicked the hell out of the Miami Hurricanes 45-3. Just saying.
And I'm gonna say this too. Akeem Hicks.
Yes.
It was really good to see him back next to Vita. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Those two behemoths of men next to each other. That is scary.
And it opens up Devin White and Levante to be able to make clean tackles. Devin doesn't have to take on the 325-pound guard who's pulling. Devin can let those guys eat them up and let Devin and Levante stay in their lanes, do their job, but it's a lot cleaner for those two guys to make plays.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna say this, and I've told Pete this before. I am the biggest Will Golston fan in the world. Like this guy.
Solid.
You don't hear about him going to the Pro Bowl.
Nothing.
You don't hear about anything, but he's there. He does his job.
Yep.
And he has no problems.
You know what he reminds me of? Go back into the annals of history for a Buccaneer defensive end that wasn't talked about, but was huge for that Buccaneer defensive line at the time. Greg Spires.
Yeah.
Greg Spires. Yeah.
Because wasn't Greg Spires on that team?
He was, and he was never talked about. But he was
Simeon. It was Simeon Rice, Booger McFarland, Sapp, and Spires was on the end.
Correct. Absolutely.
And again,
correct.
What you see with Golston's the longest tenured Buccaneer, and you don't stay on the same team making the kind of money he's made if you're not a solid role player, and even more so a mentor to the younger guys. I think he does a lot of that stuff behind the scenes. With the young guys, with the Logan Halls, with the Shoyinkas. He's kind of the new.
I love me some Anthony Nelson too. I love that guy, man.
Yeah.
God, this guy, when he gets his opportunities, he goes in there and he plays.
Yeah.
And he goes in there and he does his job. Like,
Curtis, he's going to have to,
like,
because you don't have Shaq Barrett. So those guys are going to definitely have to step up going forward. What else?
Man, it was just.
Let me ask you guys something.
Okay.
With you guys, have you noticed this running back rotation is getting way more 50-50 than it was earlier in the year? Don't be surprised if Rachaad White starts to get more and more of the touches, because right now it's a 50-50 rotation. Don't be surprised if they keep winning if Rachaad White gets some more of these touches.
I think he can. I think he does. And I'll tell you why, guys, he does, because JC just mentioned it on first down. 7.65. He has more yards on first down than Leonard Fournette. Maybe that's unfair, but at the end of the day, he's more explosive. He's more elusive. He can still catch the ball. He can still pass block. That's the reason why you draft him in the third round in the first place. And I feel like Lenny maybe has lost a step, and it's not good for this offense right now. And he's been largely ineffective.
Great. Again, Lenny's role might be perfect as the third down guy, pass protection. He's still very serviceable in the passing game. You saw the nice little move that he created, the field goal on Brady's 100,000-yard catch, where he made a 4-yard catch into about 12, where they were able to kick the 50-yard field goal. He's still got those. He's got those good hands and an excellent pass protector. But in the running game, might be more Rachaad White moving forward.
I like Leonard Fournette. I said this to Peter. I would love for them to bring the I formation with Fournette.
Well, we saw a little bit of that. We saw the fullback. We saw Cole Keefe yesterday at the fullback position. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of different looks, but I agree. I think Rachaad White should get an opportunity. He's more explosive.
Last week, Pete, he had that 20-yard catch and run.
Yep.
And then the very next play on first down, he ran an 8-yard. He had an 8-yard run on first down.
Correct.
And then they just got away from him. And I'm like, why would you get away from him?
It makes no sense.
He's hot. Like, run this kid. You know what I'm saying?
Run him. Absolutely. And what do you got to lose?
And to me, you're right. The offensive stat that has to improve with the Buccaneers, which we would not have thought this would have been an issue going into this year, the Bucs lead the National Football League in drops. We've got too good of receivers to be dropping the ball as much as we're dropping it. And I know injuries don't affect hands. I know you don't have the explosion maybe, and I get Godwin's not fully back and Evans might be nicked up, but you got to catch the ball, the ones that are thrown to you. You have to make the automatic catches.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%. I also feel like this team lost a little confidence because, once you the last 2 years, even going back to the last year Winston was there, we didn't make the playoffs, but we were trending in the right direction.
Correct.
And then, you come in the next year, you win a Super Bowl, then you come in, you lose to the Rams, but you potentially would have been in the Super Bowl again. Like, you get so confident to where you're used to winning, but you have to go out there and you have to play. You can't just go out there and win. You have to go out there and take it. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Play 60 minutes of football, and the Bucs were, again, urgency later on in the game. It paid off, but you like to see more from it, and you definitely like to see more points, and you would like to see the struggles end, especially in the red zone for this team going forward, especially versus Seattle and Germany. Curtis, yes.
Real quick before you let Curtis go.
Yeah.
Have you made any comments about the special teams? Camarda was great yesterday. Suck up. Camarda might have been, again, during that, when you have a defensive struggle game like it is, you got to have a good punting game. And he had his best punting game as a pro yesterday in the NFL. And he showed his worth.
4-yard punt tying Sean Landetta. Amazing. The longest punt. Yeah.
Me and Peter have this conversation all the time.
Yep.
I'm glad that we don't have to be like, oh, God, we're kicking a field goal. God, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Cross your fingers. Cross your
fingers. Yes.
And remember that 74-yard punt came after there was an initial penalty on fourth down, and the Rams made us re-kick it.
So good for them. Good for them because they got their just desserts on that. Good stuff, Curtis. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Let me give you the air horn. Appreciate the call as always, my friend. All right.
You guys take it easy. Let's
Curtis.
Let's go take this first win in Germany, man.
I like it, man. I like
How
it.
about them Bucks, baby?
Good stuff, Curtis, right there as we give him the Byron Leftwich. I don't necessarily think a lot of people like that, but I still like the how about those Bucks, baby. All right, let's see here. Jones wanted to get into the game. We talked about that. Jeremiah says, hey, what's up? What's up, Jeremiah? How you doing? Carl says, Saints can't get into the end zone. Love it. You got to love it.
Yes! Yes! 17-6, Baltimore, fourth quarter.
Okay, and we got to get off of here because we got to do our podcast in just a little bit here for the no quarter given. Kimmy Johnson says, thumbs up. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. JPP left the game with an injury. Hope he's okay, but he's been fighting injuries the last 2 to 3 years, so not surprising there. And Carmona got the game ball. I mean, talk about the special teams. You talked about Jalen Darden. I mean, how surprised are you that Ryan Suckup, and we kind of talked about it was one of the weaknesses going into this preseason that he couldn't kick from 50 yards, but he's basically made every field goal, got one blocked yesterday, but everything else has been pretty accurate. How surprised are you with him? And then the punt guard there, Mr. Jay Kamada.
Suckup's the consummate pro. He doesn't have the biggest leg in the world, so he's not going to make a 55, 56-yard field goal, but he's going to make 90% of those ones from 50 and in. And that's what you got to have, on a veteran team like this. So I'm a huge suck-up guy because he makes the kicks. He's consistent at what he does. He does his job. Again, other than the block kick, which again, Bobby. Again, I had the vantage point of being up in the press box. What a play by Wagner! He leaped straight over the center, didn't make contact, which would have been a personal foul, automatic first down for the Bucks if he had. That's just a hell of a play by Bobby Wagner.
Absolutely. I tell you what, let's go out to our video line here as we got Mr. Ben Cornett from Las Vegas. What do you have to say? Welcome to the Evolution, my friend, after the Bucks take care of business on a Victory Monday. Go for it.
Well, man, first of all, Peter, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, a win's a win, no matter how good or bad it looks. Hey, you know what? This is what we needed in the worst possible way, because despite our division being bad, if we go 3-6, it's going to be awfully tough. We can't afford to keep stumbling. And I know Atlanta's not a great team, but look, if the Chargers didn't make that field goal yesterday, we went overtime. Atlanta, they could have won that game. So
sure.
And then we would be like 2 games back if we'd lost this game. So it's very important that we start getting it going here, especially, and you guys made all the points tonight about the run game. That has to get going. The offensive line, no matter how badly injured they are, and starting with new guys, they got to step it up. It's next man up in the NFL. And now's the time.
Yes. Do you think they saved their season yesterday? And we got Ben Cornett on from Las Vegas. Again, our fans taking advantage here. Jason, we're trying something new. Yeah. We gave out the link tonight for the fans to get on, be a star of the show. So we're going to continue to do that. But do you think with this win yesterday, Ben, that they saved their season? Then, Jason, you can address it.
Somewhat. But again, it's what you do the following week. It's how do you follow up?
Right.
That's called momentum. And next week's a tough game, man. I'm a little worried. I mean, before the season, I had Seattle maybe 3 or 4 wins. We've already got 6.
They've been the biggest surprise in the league.
They have. And I actually like it because Pete Carroll, man, he's a great coach. And young players will always play hard because the money's not there yet. So these guys don't know any better. I'm not saying they're dumb. I'm just saying that they're playing, with their hair on fire. They're fearless. And when you get a young team like that, that's scary because they do have nothing to lose. And for the Bucks, it just seems like even yesterday, we still only had 1 touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so now we're going to go up against the Seattle defense that's surprisingly pretty good.
Yeah.
And man, we need to have better red zone efficiency, man. I've been saying this all year long, the red zone. I've been saying, dude, Mike Evans, why are we not going to the end zone more with him? Try to draw a flag. Do something.
Which is what you did yesterday with drawing a flag, which you can see in the Chicago game also with Chase Claypool who drew a flag for pass interference. You can't cover a guy. You can't coach a 6'4", 6'5" guy with speed, okay, and quickness. So at the end of the day, you're exactly right. Go to the end zone with the Mike Evans because Mike Evans may draw that pass interference. Your thoughts, Jason Powers, on what Ben is saying here?
No, it's good, great points. And with Seattle, they've had an unbelievable draft this year. I think they got 4 or 5 guys out of this draft are starting for them. Both tackles, the running back Kenneth Walker. They got a rookie DB who's playing pretty well. They've exceeded all expectations, but I do think eventually that's gonna come back to the mean. Geno Smith is playing out of his mind. Give him all the credit, but eventually it's probably going to come back to the mean. And again, I think with as many young players as they're playing, it's an opportunity for a veteran Buccaneer team, especially with the offense being a veteran offense, to expose some of that stuff on defense. I mean, they played Arizona twice, who's a dumpster fire on offense. And I know we're not great, but I have confidence that Tom Brady will be able to probe that Seattle defense. And they're a pretty vanilla defense. They don't do a lot of stuff. So if we can protect, which they did a pretty decent job yesterday protecting, if we're being fair about it, I think Brady, of one of these games, we're gonna erupt for 27 to 35 points. And again, Seattle's just a team who, again, if the Buccaneer defense can show up, I think there'll be opportunities to stop the Seattle offense.
Biggest concern for you with this Seattle offense, is it Geno Smith, is it DK Metcalf, or is it the rookie in Walker?
It's the running game. To me, it all starts with the running game, Ben. And I'll let you. But I think if you stop Kenneth Walker and make Geno have to throw it 45 times, you got a great chance. He had a terrible interception yesterday. He and Lockett and Metcalf have got a good chemistry. But again, Kenneth Walker is what's getting that offense, that mojo of that offense going. Keep him under wraps, and you got a great chance Sunday.
Ben, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, Jason, you said it perfectly. Kenneth Walker, I mean, the rookies just come on. And I'll tell you, man, you're right. You got to stop him because you want to make Geno Smith throw, at least 30 more times. If you do that, then you're going to have a good chance to stop this offense because, like you said yesterday, not only was that an interception by Geno, but that was a pick six.
Yes.
So that was huge, and that gave Arizona a little momentum to come back in the game. I think they took the lead on that.
They
I'm not
did.
mistaken. So that's what you got to do. You got to win in the trenches too. You got to put pressure on that because their offensive line's young. It's still a young line.
Yes.
You got
Both tackles are rookies. Both tackles are rookies.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and that's where your defensive line has to step up. Good stuff. And anything else?
Like I said, this is a big weekend for us.
It is.
Again, we're playing Seattle. We're playing a good team, guys. And also, if we can get this win, we're going into the bye week with 2 in a row.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what. And then coming up after that, and again, we did get beat by the Steelers and Panthers, so no game is a gimme. But we do have the Browns. Then we play the Saints at home Monday Night Football. The Saints are losing tonight.
27-6, by the way.
Yeah.
Hold on. 27-6. Good.
Yeah. So with that momentum, we can win these games. It's. I tell everybody, I do my own videos, that we're not out of it. We can clean this up, especially the division we're in.
Yes.
We can come back easily. Because we got a veteran team that if we can just put it together for 4 quarters, control the clock, and play good defense and start running the ball. We still got Brady threw it over 50 times yesterday. Can't happen.
Yeah, you got to have some semblance of balance, if you will. Great stuff, Ben. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair. Woo! And I'll go ahead and give you this.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Appreciate you joining us on video. Definitely don't be a stranger, my friend. All right?
All right. Hey, guys, thanks a lot for having me. Appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. Good stuff there. I love that option.
That's a great idea, Pete.
Yep. I love giving the fans the option. Not only can you text in, can you call in 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web Live on the Hub on I Love St. Pete and Amped Up Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Powers on Sports Podcast, Mr. Jason Powers. Let's read these comments. Yes.
What did you think of Frank Reich getting run today for Jeff Saturday?
Well, first and foremost, I understand it because right now, looking at the statistics, the Colts are only averaging 14.7 points per game.
Yep.
That's the worst in the NFL. On top of it, so many expectations, having a Jonathan Taylor, having somewhat of a good offensive line, but not being able to get the quarterback position correct. That has been the undoing of Frank Reich, and that's the reason why he's out of a job. But to replace him with Jeff Saturday, somebody has to make some sense of this, because I get it. He's an ESPN analyst. He has some high school football coaching experience. But besides that, he basically has nothing. It makes no sense to me besides the fact that he's a fan favorite and the owner loves him.
I'm going to give you – I think it's a sneaky good move by the Colts.
Okay.
I think it's a no-lose situation for Jim Irsay. If Saturday comes in and shows some chops for the job, again, is he going to be calling plays? No, but he's going to be the CEO, so to speak, of that organization. He knows it inside and out with all his years with Manning. He's going to have access to a guy like Peyton Manning to help him on some of that kind of stuff. He's going to have access to guys like Bill Polian to help him with the Pagan, with even a guy like Bruce Arians. He's going to have access to all those sources to help him with the duties of being the head coach. But it's a sneaky, potentially good move, because if it doesn't work out after 9 weeks, okay, then they go hire somebody. But promoting Gus Bradley to be the interim coach for the next 8 weeks, what's that going to do for the franchise, really? Gus Bradley is about as boring as they come. John Fox is about as boring as they come. This is a sneaky, potentially outside-of-the-box move that I like.
Well, can he handle it? Can he handle being a head coach in the National Football League? Because he doesn't have the experience as a coordinator. He doesn't have the experience as a coordinator or a head coach at the college level. And I'm just trying to think. And again, looking at the numbers here, Reich had problems with Phillip Rivers, who went 11-5. They pulled the plug on him, or he retired, but he didn't necessarily work out. At least he got him to the playoffs. Andrew Luck, which they're still trying to find his replacement. And the reason why he retired in the first place, he didn't put enough around him, not enough of a good offensive line, not enough weapons. And then Carson Wentz, 9-8, of course, couldn't get over the hump there, beating Jacksonville in the last game. Matt Ryan, of course, the biggest costly mistake here with the draft capital that you gave up. So, at the end of the day, if you can't get the quarterback position correct, or you have one or two quarterbacks on your roster, you don't have one. So to me, that's what it comes down to. And I'll be very interested to see what the Colts can do. You look at Reich's record, though. I didn't realize this, 40-33-1. So it's not like he was a complete loser. I mean, he had some success. Was this the right move to pull the trigger? Or should they have given him the whole season? Because to me, they weren't going anywhere. As soon as they benched Matt Ryan, it was basically a rebuild.
Well, the speculation coming out of that building today was they had quit on Frank Reich. And once they quit on the head coach, it's over. You got to get the head coach out of there. And say what you want about Jeff Saturday's lack of experience. He's going to come in there. He's going to have the owner's ear, meaning he's going to make observations about certain guys. And the other thing he's going to have a direct impact on is the production of that offensive line, who's vastly underachieved this year. With the talent they have on that offensive line, the inability for them to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, I know he's been hurt a little bit, but they have done a pitiful job as an offensive line creating opportunities. And whether that's motivation, whether that's scheme, whether that's what coaching, I don't know, probably a little bit of it, all of it. But I think you're going to see Saturday focus a lot of his attention on that offensive line.
What's more disappointing, the Indianapolis Colts or the Las Vegas Raiders? Because they lose to Jacksonville yesterday. They fall to 2-6. Devontae Adams has a great first half. They make the playoffs. They are taking a step back. I'm not surprised, because I always thought McDaniels was, living, off the coattails, if you will, Bill Belichick. He tried to coach with the Denver Broncos. He didn't have a lot of success there. Why is this shocking? Are you disappointed? Because there were so many expectations, Jason Powers, for the Raiders to be at least competitive or make the playoffs, or at least have a chance to win that division. They're not even close. This is worse than it was last year. It's worse than it was 5 years ago.
Their defense is bad. Again, it's year one of McDaniels. It's a new system for Carr and Adams. I get it. I've never been the biggest Derek Carr fan. I mean, he's a good player. He's not great. He's not elite, in my opinion. Good player. But again, I think McDaniels will do an okay job, but their defense is still bad. And that's something that they've been trying to fix for 3 or 4 years with Mayock and Gruden, now McDaniels. It's just something you need better players on defense. And and going back to the Colts, say what we want. They're only 2 games out of first place behind the Titans. And do we think the Titans are a great team? I don't.
If Malik Willis is starting at quarterback, the Colts still have a chance to win that division because there is a reason why this kid was a project. And you heard this from BA. He talked about the quarterbacks coming out of this draft at the time, and he said, quite frankly, this guy's a project. He needs a couple years. He looks completely lost, and the only offense they have at the end of the day is Derrick Henry. Thank you very much, Mr. Henry, because you're on my fantasy team with your 2 touchdowns. With that being said,
you make it great. I think Tannehill's supposed to be back next week.
Right.
He's been out sick and a little bit. But again, you're right. Malik Willis is not the answer. If he has to play any kind of meaningful snaps down the stretch, who says Indianapolis can't be 8-9 and win that division?
Yeah.
I mean, again, give the Titans credit. They played Kansas City really well last night, but they lost. It's a loss. And the Colts are only 2 games behind in the loss column. Say what you want. And again, do I think Sam Ellinger's great? No. But again, if you can shore up the offensive line and finds a way to get the running game going, then Ellinger's throws, much easier to throw the ball in the play action game, which we've talked about. They should have beat Washington the week before. They turned it over late. They should have won that game. So again, whether it's play calling, whether it's the effort level, did they quit on Frank Reich? I think Jeff Saturday could be a sneaky good move. Again, is he going to be Vince Lombardi or Bill Walsh? No, with the X's and O's, but he's going to be a motivator and a CEO type who knows that Indianapolis culture and is well liked in that organization.
Going back to the Raiders game there, they had a 20-10 lead at halftime. Adams had 146 yards receiving. Guess how many yards he had in the second half?
I mean,
0! How do you do that?
Here's what I'll say. Part of it's scheme because Waller hasn't played much. Hunter Renfrow hasn't done much. They were running the ball good with Jacobs up until yesterday, and they ran okay yesterday. But I mean, they had a pretty good running game. To me, it's the defense. The defense the inability to lock a game down, to put a game away. You shouldn't lose in that league when you're up 17 points on 2 different occasions. You can't lose games like that.
Yeah, he definitely should because 17-point lead in the third time in 8 games. Of course, could you
can't happen.
The halftime lead over the Arizona Cardinals 20-0, and they blow that. Speaking of blowing.
Can't happen.
Oh, blowing. Wow, wow. Green Bay sucks. I'm sorry because my mom was out there. She was rooting for Aaron Rodgers, which I guess she's become a fan of him the last couple years. I have no idea why. But honestly, after this loss to the worst defense in the National Football League, in your opinion, is Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers done?
He was bad yesterday. There ain't nobody else to blame it on yesterday but Aaron Rodgers. He was bad.
2 red zone interceptions.
And again, I'll give him a little credit I'll give him a little break on the tip ball, but he had 2 or 3 other deep balls. Guys were wide open that are just touchdown throws. And again, he grossly underthrew the ball to Bakhtiari on the misdirection on the goal line. If you're going to miss that throw, it has to be over Bakhtiari's head. It can't be short like it was. Again, it sounds like there's some dissension there, but some difference of philosophy and opinion between LaFleur and Rodgers. Do they want to be more harder on the wide receivers? Do they want to be more patient? Do you want to run out of shotgun? It sounds like Rodgers wants to be more out of the shotgun. LaFleur wants to be more under center. So it sounds like there's some clash between LaFleur and Rodgers, but no other person to blame but Aaron Rodgers. He was pitiful yesterday.
He was pitiful yesterday, and you got to be happy for the Lions because they haven't been able to finish all year long, and finally they do. Let's go out to the Jets. How surprised were you yesterday, Jason Powers, with them beating the Buffalo Bills and causing turnovers by Josh Allen, our old friend there, Jordan Whitehead, had one of them. 20-17 New York Jets. Yep. Can they continue to win like this? Because what I see is Zach Wilson, he's not a quarterback that's going to win anything, although if he does not turn over the ball, you play great defense, you run the ball, and you can cause turnovers.
Mark Sanchez.
Right? That's what I'm thinking
Sanchez.
Of. Right. That's what I'm seeing with the New York.
They went to 2 AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez. They're not going to ever be a threat to go to the Super Bowl, but their defense is real. The pass rush is real, and their pass rush is real because they only have to rush 4. They're not having to blitz. Got a good guy in the back end with Sauce Gardner. Saleh knows how to coach defense, and they got a good running game. The offensive line is good enough to run the ball. You got good runners in Carter and James Robinson. You got just enough with Zach Wilson mobility-wise. Again, do I think they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs? No, but they're going to be a team that's going to be in a lot of games because of that defense.
Absolutely. All right. I know we're burning it up here. We're about to get off. Dolphins versus the Bears. The Dolphins win 35-32, but that's really not the story because we knew how high-powered the Dolphins were going to be with Tua and Waddle, and of course Tyreek Hill. Really, Tua has taken that next step. But the defense was bad yesterday, although I just think Justin Fields was tremendous. 178 rushing yards, a regular season record, which I had no idea of. He's throwing the ball. He's running the ball. I mean, is this what the Bears expected out of Justin Fields? And do you think he can continue to do this? Because I like what the Bears did with Chase Claypool. And I tell you right now, if they continue to put weapons around him, they have all that cap next year, I really believe they found their franchise quarterback. What do you say?
This is very similar to the Jalen Hurts project from last year with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I know Fields was a high pick, and I get it, but they're catering the offense to what Fields does well now. He's not a great thrower of the ball right now. He's a great runner. He can hit the obviously wide open guy, but he's not going to be reading defenses great like a Tom Brady and these other guys. He's a 1-2 read kind of guy, which is fine. You can, as long as you're as athletic as he is, you can get away with that. Again, they're still a ways away on defense. The defense isn't very good. But the offense, Mooney's a good number 2, not a number 1. They need a number 1. Claypool, can he be a 1? Can he be a 2A? I mean, I don't think he's a 1 either. He's a good 2 probably. But you got good running backs in Montgomery and Herbert. This is their formula. Give them credit. Give the Bear coaching staff credit. They figured out what he can do well, and they're maximizing it.
Yeah, and I thought at the beginning of the season they weren't doing him any favors, and I still think the offense is somewhat predictable, but at least they have an identity. They're running the ball. They're taking the pressure off the kid, and I was thinking the reason why they run the ball is because their offensive line isn't that great right now. They don't want to put him in harm's way.
Yeah, get killed.
Right. So let's see what they do from here on out, but I think they definitely got a plan in progress.
Yep.
One more question. Minnesota survives Washington 20-17. They come back from a 17-7 deficit. Are we starting to believe in the Minnesota Vikings here and Kirk Cousins being 7-1? Because I hear nobody talking about the Vikings, but I think they're definitely dangerous, especially on the offensive end.
You better start thinking about it because O'Connell's done a really good job getting a lot out of Kirk Cousins. Great weapons on offense. Hawkinson's going to be a sneaky, really good acquisition at tight end. He's a big player at tight end that they didn't have before. You pair him with Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. Cousins is solid. The defense is pretty solid. Minnesota's real now.
Yeah, they're definitely real. And you know what else is real? Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the evolution of sports talk television, my friend.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at JPO Sports, so JPO Sports on Twitter. Powers on Sports Podcast. No Quarter Given podcast. We're about to record the winning edition finally after some losses in a row. But and also the Florida Football Insiders podcast, which is all things state of Florida college football. We're going to talk about in depth the Jeff Scott departure at USF, Florida State killing Miami. We're going to talk all things again state of college football. We talk with Jim Levitt every week. We have other media guys from around the state on contributing as well. So those 3 podcasts, part of the College Gridiron Coast to Coast podcast. And then, of course, you and I every week on the No Quarter Given podcast, my brother.
Absolutely. My tag team partner in the world. And yes, Jeff Scott gets fired. No surprise there. The way they played against Temple, the way they played throughout his tenure. I know there's a lot of excitement. He was always a great soundbite, always respectful to me when I asked a question.
Very good.
But there has been talk of possibly Jim Levitt coming back, being in that conversation. And we heard another name today.
Yeah, I heard that one too.
John Gruden. Yes or no, if John Gruden is interested in coaching this program, and it certainly seems like, according to Zach Blobner of 95.3 620 WDAE, his sources are telling him if Gruden wants the job, they will ready to sign that check. What do you say?
The question with John Gruden has nothing to do with football. It has to do with the other part of the whole drama around John Gruden right now is all the stuff off the field. Remember, you're dealing with a university, academia, boosters, donors, those kind of things. If it was a football question, it would be a home run, no doubt about it. But this is not going to be a football question. This is going to be a university question of, would the university be willing to accept what we know John Gruden has been documented to have said about different groups of people, all that stuff. Yeah. That's the part that the university has to make the decision. This will not be an athletic director decision. This will be a university president and board of regents decision. If John Gruden said, I would take the job, we don't know. Who knows that if he would do that. But if he said he'd take the job, that's going to be a decision made by the president and the board of regents because of the off the field stuff with Coach Gruden.
And I agree with you, and I think he wants any job at this point. He just wants to get back to coaching football. I don't necessarily know if it's a good fit because he's never coached college football before.
He would get recruits.
Yeah, definitely get recruits.
But he would get guys. He would get guys.
Could he coach up a quarterback? Because he's never been able to develop a young quarterback in the National Football League. Why should I think he's able to do that in college football? I'm not sure. Great stuff, Jason Powers. We'll see you soon. All right, my friend?
You got it, Peter. Thanks.
All right. There you go, buddy, right there. Let's go ahead and read the rest of these comments, and then we will get out of here for the night because I got to do another podcast. No sleep at all here in Holiday, Florida. All right, let's go out to Tim. Kamada got the game ball. Absolutely. Tim goes, Darden isn't great, but he's better than Mickens. I agree with that. Tim says we definitely needed the win. I think the locker room benefits hugely from the way we ended up winning. Christopher Cole, 27-6 now. Yeah, baby. And let's go out to Roger Shue. Bucks are trash, and this is what you get for that. Better late than never, I guess. All right, thanks a lot to all the guests here. Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago Sports. J.C. Allen of Pewter Report. And, of course, Jason Powers, Powers on Sports podcast, No Quarter Given podcast on the buckpower.com network. And then if you like this video option, we'll be back on Wednesday night to do what we do. 3 things on this Victory Monday. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Have a great night, guys.